Hello, computer scientists. This is Mr. Lang, and we're working in Udacity's Android Basics, our user input. And this is curriculum put together by Google. Maybe you've heard of them. And it's a free course, a great course. I was introduced to this a couple years ago by one of my students. And man, it's taught me, my students, a whole lot about application development. So it's a great course. I'll have a link to it in my description below. So check it out. Read through the course description, all the things that you're going to do, and obviously join the path to greatness. If you want to learn how to develop applications, on cell phones and tablets, this is a great course to get your goals met. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that and kind of start with, we've been working in lesson 1 in my last tutorial. Now we are on lesson 2, still working in just Java. So one of the applications that we're definitely working in is Android Studio. It's the IDE, the integrated development environment that we're using to not only write our code, but kind of see how things look. We are also going to be using GitHub to push our code up to the internet, and I'm going to show this more in a little bit. You can see all my commits. We have our different branches that we've been working on. So again, I'm going to showcase that more in a little bit. We have our glow boards to keep us as project managers kind of in check of what we need to work on, what we have worked on, what we need to work on. So let me kind of show you, for example, when I got done with my basic user input, my lesson 1 in just Java, I need to check off a couple things. These are my sprints. All right, so I've updated my ePortfolio. All right, I've completed a screencast. Well, I haven't updated it 100% yet because I'm still working on images. I need to take my screenshot, so I'm not done 100%. So I'm going to go ahead and close that so you can see that backlog now. I have 11 out of 13 things done. I still need to work on that backlog. All right, basic user input for lesson 2. You can see some of the sprints that I have to complete. I need to update my portfolio. I'm taking my screencast right now, and I probably should add a task for getting some screenshots. All right, because I like to have some images that people can see of my project as well on my ePortfolio. All right, so we can add that task as well. So I got a couple more sprints to complete. All right, I wish I could move that up to the top. I can't at this point, but maybe they'll have an update on there. So get cracking if you could help me out with my glow board. So let me move my sprints around in the priority that I need them to be. But eventually we'll get this over in our done area. I am also working on lesson 3. So again, these are things that I have in progress. I'm going to jump over to my commits, and this is where the magic happens. This is where I can keep track of all the things that I've been working on. These are fail safes. I'm going to showcase more of this in just a little bit, but this is a great piece of software. So I'm going to move that over to the side. And to test my application out, I love using an emulator. All right. And so let me bring my emulator over. This is my cell phone. I'm using the Pixel 3X with an API of 29. All right, and I changed the background of it. I love saltwater scapes like that. So I'm going to launch my Just Java app, and this is kind of what it's going to look like at the end. And I'm going to take you through its progress, but I'm going to be able to add some quantities of coffee. I'm going to be able to get the price. Thank you for 2 cups of coffees, $10. Thank you. I also added to where if you try to get negative cups of coffee, that does not work. So that's one thing that I updated, and I learned that from my students. So thank you, students, for introducing that to me. So very cool things that we learn. All right, you guys. So I'm going to kind of move my emulator over and jump back to where the magic all started. We're going to kind of go back in time, if you will. And that's what's awesome about Get Cracking. So I'm going to go ahead and check out my lesson number 1 for Udacity. This is where I ended up. And so let me go ahead now and click over here, and you can see that this changed. This is what my app looked like at the end of lesson 1. All right, we've got some cool things. If I can run this again on my emulator, you'll see where my emulator is going to go through. It's building it right now, but within just a few seconds, it's going to kind of push that to my emulator, and we'll see what this version look like. And so again, it matches this. I can test it out. All right, I can get my order, my price. I can also see that I can have negative cups of coffee and my order, negative $25. So let's go ahead and come back to this, and give me a second. I'm going to work on getting this position on my screen so we can see both applications at once. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got my split screen in action here, and this is my Get Cracking with all my commits, and then this is my Android Studio. So let's take a look. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on my add. Well, let me read this first. Add child horizontal linear layout. This is what I did. My decrement and increment buttons. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and right click and choose check this commit out. All right, so this is my head now. And so if I click over here, all right, you can see that I actually added a child to it. What did that mean? Udacity taught me that I have now a linear layout that you can see it indented a little bit where I now have my button, my text view, and button. So this is my plus button or my increment button. All right, this is my minus button or my decrement button there. And this is my text view of my 0 there for my quantity when it first starts out. So they taught us how to make children within our layouts. And believe it or not, I can make children of children type of thing. So there is an infinite amount of things that you can do. And again, I'm just learning this, but really cool. That allowed me to take it from a horizontal to a vertical to a horizontal view. All right, so kind of cool. They taught us that, and if I would happen to run that on my emulator, you will see that it will eventually change its position from vertical to horizontal. All right. And I'm just going to move that off the side there and then change the increment and decrement buttons arrangements on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and check that commit out. And you're going to see then that right now my plus is on the left, my minus is on the right. Well, I wanted to move those around. So now my minus button is on the left here. All right, that's the first part of my my linear layout. And then I moved the minus button on the right hand side. So adding on the left, minusing on the right. All right. So that was that commit. I added a child relative layout for the title and image. So let's go ahead and check out that commit and see what we did there. If I click over here, eventually you can see that I added exactly what I said. I added a layout, a relative layout for the title, and I added an image. All right, so I found that image on a free website that allowed me to use their coffee beans as the background. Kind of cool. And let's go ahead and just keep on going through my commits. You can see that I changed some padding of my linear layout. All right, so I just changed some padding again in the XML. I updated the XML with padding with Java with the price message. All right, so again, if I check that commit out there, take a look over here, and you might not see too much change, but my price message, meaning the message that comes out once my price comes in. So now I added a price variable. Now we're going to get into the Java code. So if I click over here, jump into my Java code, all right, we have a price variable that, let me go ahead and find that price variable. And let me go ahead and take a look first. So what's cool about this, if I don't know where I change this, what do you mean add price variable? Over in Get Cracking, I can click on the main.java. This is the file that I edited there, and I can see what I took out. So I took out some of this data, and this is my price down here. So I took out the string message for total plus quantity plus coffees and quantity times 5 and a thank you. I added a price variable on line 55. So I can look over here. Now that is where I added it. So that's what's so powerful about Get Cracking. It lets us know where we took things out, where we changed things, where we added things, some new stuff. You can see that I took out this method as well. I didn't need that method anymore, so I took that out. So this is a really powerful piece of software as a developer to kind of see what you did in your code where. All right, so let's go ahead and close that and keep going. We updated our submit order function with an updated price variable. All right, so we can check out that commit, see what we did there. So if I click on this, you can see that I took out this here and I updated it with my price message down here. So I was trying something new out. I was going to kind of see how that worked. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to go ahead and push that over to my phone. I think I didn't like the way this worked, and let me try to see here. And so I've got my price message. So if I add this and order, well, actually, things look great. I thought I was just messing around there and kind of seeing what things look like, but I got my thank you on the separate line. That's what I was looking for. So my price message plus thank you. All right. And that little /n right there allowed my thank you to go on the second line. So it called my price message, which was total. Let's take a look at this. Total for quantity. So total for 2. All right. Coffees. Added that plural, added the $ there, and then it referred to my price here. Before I had it on one line right there. So I wanted to take my price message and just print that out. So that way it put it on 2 lines with that variable concatenating with my quantity and my price. So kind of cool there. All right, well, let's keep going. What else did we do here in this project, or at least what I did to kind of change things up? I merged my master into my development. All right, so I have a development branch. I kind of got things done where I thought, and I merged it into. I then merged my lesson 2 Udacity into my development. All right, so I did that, merged my branch development, added the hours of the day. So now I'm back on. This here is my lesson 2. So let's go ahead and check that out. All right, check that commit out. And if I click over here and I now have my message of the day down below here of my coffees that we have. So I believe here is my hours of operation and my special of the day. All right, well, that's relative to that. So actually, my hours of the day is up here in this text view. I did a relative layout in this section right here. So you can see that I made another child of the parent with my relative layout. All right, and inside of that relative layout, I made my hours of operation and my text view. So again, those can be relative to each other. I wanted this to be on the bottom of my ID hours. So let's go ahead and run that. And while it is updating, we'll take a look. Shouldn't take too long. It's building the app. Eventually it'll push it on over to my phone. And now we should have the hours of operation for today, the special of the day. Again, this way I can kind of work with the padding of this relative layout, how I want things positioned on the screen. So really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and increase my order. All right, but you can still see that I have my negative there. And so I eventually went ahead and now I have updated my increment and decrement. See a description. So my description here says change the increment variable quantity to update each iteration with shorthand quantity plus plus, and decrement with an if-else statement. So let me take a look at that. Let's see what we did. So in the first one here on lines 38 through kind of 40 here in this area, I took this quantity equals quantity plus 1 and I made it shorter using shorthand. So I have my little single line comment letting me know shorthand quantity equals quantity plus 1. So I changed that to quantity plus plus. Again, new things that I'm learning as a developer that you can do in Java. I also came down to this location and I took out this data and I added a comment. This is an if-else statement. This is used that the quantity cannot be a negative number of coffees. So if the quantity is less than 1, it's going to display 0 as the quantity. Otherwise, go ahead and do the shorthand for quantity equals quantity minus 1. And that's here, quantity minus minus. So as it goes through the iterations, it will continue to decrease each time. And then I display my quantity here. All right, so with that said and done, let me go ahead and bring this over. If I click into here, that is updated. And let me go ahead and run that app now to where once it builds, and let me go ahead and get that out of the way. Once it builds, I now can do my increments. And what if I do my decrements below 0? As you can see now, I can't go negative coffees, all right, at 0, 0, all right, but I can't do that. So 4, there we go. So very cool project. Again, love Get Cracking. I love I can see where I made changes, what I did differently within each kind of commit that I've made along the way. Again, here's all my commits that I've made. So let's go ahead and bring over GitHub now. Again, I push things to GitHub. And well, let me show you this on GitKraken real quick. So here's my local. This little icon is my origin. My origin is my GitHub. All right. So I'm right now on my master branch. I'm going to switch this over to my lesson 2 for Udacity. And now this is where you need to know your file management. All right. So this file management is going to be very similar to the file management that we have over here with our app, all right, our res, our layout, our main activity, XML. So I know where that's at. So I'm going to go to my app here. I'm going to go to my source. I'm going to go to my main. I'm going to go to my res. I'm going to go to my layout. And finally, I get to my XML. And so this is the same program that I have on my XML in Android Studio. All right, you can see all of my XML here. All right, and lastly, again, you can kind of see my relative layout dealing with my hours of operation. Here I'm open from 6 to 10 today, and I also put my special of the day. Again, I want to work on making an array to where I can then use a random generator to choose out of that array what is my special of the day, which will be kind of cool. I can't wait to learn more about that, or maybe have one of my students show me, which is amazing as a teacher in computer science. Your students are filled with so much information. So I'm going to go back to my, let me see here, my source, and I'm going to go to main. Oh, I didn't want to do that. There's my Java. All right, so I'm going to go to Java, and here's my Java files. Again, it's backed up on the internet. If someone would happen to take my computer, that's where all my local files are, yes, I'd be sad. However, I can always go and clone this and bring it back down. I can also share this with users to where if I'm having a problem, I can share this online and say, hey, this is a problem I'm having. Take a look at maybe my lines 46 through 53. I want to do this if and else statement. What's going on? Man, there are many people out on the internet, just like you guys listening to this tutorial, that are willing to help. Stack Overflow is great, and others as well. So again, so many cool things that you can do as a developer. I recommend GitHub is not the only repository that you can have. Many more repositories that you can put your information up online, but definitely do it. And it's very simple with GitKraken. So at the end, this is what my app, again, I went in and I wanted to add some of the things that I learned in previous lessons in regards to adding an image, messing, kind of playing around with the padding, adding a title over the top of an image, again, just to kind of help reiterate those skills that we learned back in Udacity's basic user interface lessons. Continue to use those, because if you just do the minimum, you're never going to really use those skills that you've learned in other lessons. And so it's great to do. So again, I added some color to the background, and I really love the way my app is looking. So I think in our next lesson, we're going to kind of go and learn some other things about, we're going to come back to my Just Java application in the future, as well as I want to continue to practice in this as well. Again, as I mentioned once and twice probably, I do want to work on making an array for my special of the day. Also work on, depending on what day it is of the week, my hours, I want that to change automatically for me. So those are a couple things that I want to work on. So hey, thank you for being here with my tutorial on my application of Just Java. Again, for Udacity, check Udacity out. It's an amazing piece of curriculum. They have all sorts of lessons, not only app development, but amazing curriculum that they have within their portal. So check it out. Again, I will have a link to the course down below. And And hey, give a thumbs up if you like this video. If you want to subscribe, I am planning on making multiple videos along the way. So I'm new to the YouTube world of having my videos on YouTube. So hey, please subscribe to my channel and let's learn together. If you know how to do some of these cool things, hey, maybe show me how to do these things. Let's all teach each other because that's what this community out on the internet is for. So again, Mr. Lang signing out. Have a great day and continue computing.